It's after midnight, and it's time for conversations about love, family, friends, sex, and life. It's Love and Life with Carol Riddick and Donavan West, only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
Well, hello there, family. Welcome to yet another episode of Love and Life, right here on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at WURDradio.com, and that's wordradio.com, for those of you who wanted to be more specific. In any event, I'm one half of your hosting crew. I am Carol Riddick, and you know, I'm joined by none other than the man himself.
That's right, Donavan West. Happy to be here in this space. And Carol, you already know what we do. You know what the shenanigans call for. It calls for us to be unapologetically, just as is, no frills, straight up in this space. And we do this because we love to do this, not because of any check. It ain't because of that. You already know. I'm not going to get in trouble with the radio station. Not today.
Okay, listen.
I'm not going to do
listen,
that.
It's early. We just started.
I know. I just need the people to know that we're here because we volunteer to be here in this space. And the only thing that we said that we, would stop us is if we couldn't be ourselves. So thank you, Carol, for the ability to be transparent in this space.
Agreed. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So since we don't have a whole lot of time,
no, we don't.
I want to get into telling everybody who our guest is today and talking with him. What about you?
I'm excited because for personal reasons and professional reasons, again, good people, it's really, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have my brother here, Marcus Allen, join us. But I know him all kinds of ways. Carol, you go ahead and do the more structured introduction if you don't mind.
I just set you up. I mean, that was an alley-oop, if I might say so myself.
No pun intended if you know Marcus's background. But anyway, you're right.
Well, because you're friends, I want you to do it because you can give it that. You do it. Come on.
All right. So listen, first of all, I know Marcus Allen is a good friend, period. He's a great guy, honest. He's the person that doesn't ask too many questions other than where are you and let's go. Like literally, nice. He's one of those people. No judgment, just shows up. But also in a professional setting as a CEO. By the way, the first Black CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think this was in 2013, right? If my memory serves me correctly. Yep. Right, 2013. He's been holding it down and making all kinds of disruptions in this space, positive ones. And representing us well. In addition to that, he's a proud father. I know him to be, literally all over the place for his daughters, and a philanthropist. I don't know what else. Oh, marathons. This dude is, he's biking all over the place. I'm telling you, I think from Philly to Atlantic City, and then he went even further. Like this.
No, I went from San Francisco to Atlantic City.
What? Okay. See, that is the reason that I asked you, Donavan, to introduce him because I don't know those little tidbits.
I knew my introduction was going to be all over the place because his gifts is all over the place. That's why I was like, you know what? Maybe we just want to read a couple of bullets and keep it straight because my introduction could actually eat up the whole hour. But I'm going to stop right here, okay, and welcome our WURD family to Marcus Allen. Thank you so much for joining us, good brother.
Hey, man. Hey, Carol, Donovan. It is an amazing pleasure to be here with you all because, we made it through 2 years of the pandemic and we're still here.
Listen,
a lot of people aren't here and a lot of people aren't whole. But I am just so blessed to be here with the two of you and with our WURD family, Sarah Lomax, one of my good friends, and just continuing the legacy of our father and what the WURD radio station means for our community. And I am both excited and nervous to come on and talk about such a really intimate and sensitive topic to our community because, I feel like we created love, right? Like the Black community being the first ones on the earth, right? We only survive because of love. And so I'm hopeful and prayerful that I can do us some justice tonight with all of you.
Come on, man. You already know, Marcus, that when it comes to demonstrating love, right? Especially when you're in a space where you are, you're the head of an organization that institutes love back into the space, right? Structures love back into the space in terms of big brothers, big sisters. How challenging is it for you to actually stay focused on not just the bottom line, right, in terms of performance and all that other stuff, but the quality by which it's done? How challenging is it? Because I'm pretty sure you have types that are mission oriented, right? Getting a certain amount of donors, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's also about the experience. So for you, someone that is very much into relationships, how challenging is it for you to be right there in the middle of it and still ensure that both parties, those that are there for the experience, as well as those that are there for the outcomes, are happy?
It's interesting, Donovan. We were just on Friday during our second board retreat. We're in the middle of our strategic plan for Big Brothers Big Sisters. And for those of you who don't know, Big Brothers Big Sisters has been doing the work of putting a caring, compassionate adult with a child, normally a child at risk, a child that's in the juvenile justice system, or a child that's experiencing some obstacle or challenge. And we've been doing that in Philadelphia for 107 years now. And I started the retreat off with this quote, and it was this doctor was talking to a patient, and the patient said that, is there anything that medicine, when you're hurt, and it was talking about medicine, and the doctor said, anything can be healed with love. And then the patient said to the doctor, what happens if that's not enough? And the doctor said, well, then just up the dose, right? And so I'm sure many in the room found it interesting that I started off talking about love at a board retreat with, CEOs of corporations. And we had brought the community in, we brought some young folks in, we had about 50 people in the room. And it just, for me, and I don't mean this in some hokey, like corny way, but man, like I want to make sure, and I'm a work in progress, right? But I want to make sure that I use every effort to do stuff with love, right? Because when you do it with love, it's about other people. It's about our purpose for being on this earth, which is to serve, right? And God didn't put us here and say to serve people you don't like even people who do stuff to you, like you're still supposed to love them, right? And so if you're going to do this work, I don't think you can be successful without installing love in everything you do for every person. I even told someone once, I said, yeah, I love racist folks. I said, I know racism is ignorance, right? It ain't, some of it ain't their fault. Some of it is, but some of it ain't, right? They were born into it. They grew up in it. And so that's where I start with that, Donovan, in terms of when we talk about how does the science of serving kids and how do you make sure that you're having positive outcomes. So I infuse love, and when that don't work, you up the dose on it, right? And then also understanding, you brought up relationships. Well, my philosophy is you can't get life right if you don't get relationships right, right? Life is about relationships and your ability to both manage and leverage those relationships so that you and those you love can have a better life, right? Absolutely. And so in my role as a CEO and serving Big Brothers Big Sisters, we understand that our kids sometimes have a relationship deficit, right? They have a social capital deficit. And so what we're trying to do is bring other adults into their lives so it gives them another experience. It gives them access. It shows them opportunity. I grew up in poverty. I grew up, chronic episodes of homelessness, violence, in the projects, Techwood projects in Atlanta, Georgia, and went through all of that stuff. And one of the things that I realized when I was probably between 10 and 12, a mentor, a cop, a Willie Williams black guy who was one of the few black people I knew left that small town, went off to college and came back and was giving back. And he said to me, he told me about his experience while he was in college. I never imagined college. I never even what was that concept? What is that? And this is before the spinoff from the Cosby Show came off. What was with
Different
A
world.
different world. Yeah.
World, right? This is a
Mhm.
different world, right? And so when he said that, it opened this other chamber in my mind that had a lock on it. And so I see my job and our job at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and all of us, you as role models, you, Carol, like we are here to try to unlock these different chambers in young people's minds and other people's minds too, because imagination, like we can only go as far as we can dream. And some of us dream small. And so it's important in my mind that first and foremost, you show young people you care, because young people can't learn from people they don't like. And then once you show them you care and you get them to be able to open up to you, then you help them to imagine a better life for themselves and their family and their future. So that's kind of from a spiritual sense, kind of how I approach the work. And why I feel like we've had a modicum of success over the last 9 years.
No, that's a great answer. And thank you for that additional context. One thing that's very interesting, as you mentioned, you talked about loving that racist person, right? And not to such an extreme, but being the first Black CEO of an organization that is 107 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that you're running into a great amount of people who have all types of stereotypes in mind, and they act it out, whether it is through some form of implicit bias or any other thing. How is it for you as you're sitting there, right, as a team member, right? They're supposed to be, again, we're all on the same page, same team, same objectives, but I don't look like you, right? And many of you have not interacted with someone like myself. How challenging is it for you to navigate that space, right? When you are working with teammates, and you've played team sports as well before, so, but this is another level, right? You're talking about those who have been in an organization for a certain period of time. You're stepping into a workspace, a work culture, and you have similar, if not more, demands as a Black man. How has that experience been for you?
That's been one of the toughest challenges I've encountered in my adult life. You alluded, like, sports was different, right? I played basketball, and sports tends to transcend race, culture, gender, all of those things, that labels that society puts on us. And when you're on the field, or when you're on the court, like, you don't care what color the person next to you is. You just want to make sure that they're pulling their weight just like you are. We're trying to get this win, right? The dynamics in the boardroom and in business is very complicated, complex, and you oftentimes and almost never know exactly where people are coming from, right? And so you have all these arrows coming at you, right? And you don't understand why they're coming at you. Like, sometimes the arrows are coming at you because maybe they disagree with your philosophy and your approach and what you're trying to accomplish. I grew up in the church. I should also say that. And one of the things that I listen to pastors all the time, I'm always on Sundays looking for good pastors. One of the pastors I heard recently, he said, listen, I think he was preaching from Joshua, and he said, what we need to understand is we always have a shovel in one hand and a sword in the other hand. And anytime you're building, someone's going to come and try to destroy it, right? No matter what. Like, if you ain't doing nothing, ain't nobody going to mess with you. You might be out there trying to build something. Be out there trying to do something good. I don't care if it's good, if it's altruistic. Like, put yourself out there, people are going to come. That's just human nature, right? It's been that way since the beginning of time. And so, going back to the business arena, I try to chalk it up to this idea of people aren't going to always understand what you're trying to accomplish. And oftentimes, sometimes people don't want to understand. They don't know how to listen to really see how this benefits them and everyone else. Right. And that's a big challenge in terms of communication. It challenges you from a communications perspective, and it forces you to step outside of yourself. And so I can't separate myself from being a black man. I can't do that. I'm not even gonna say like I could show up to work and say, I put being a black man aside and I can just no, right? I don't know who said that and who can do that. I can't do that, right? But I do try to assess myself to make sure that I am not feeding too far into the messaging of everyone trying to take down a black man, right? But I'm also not naive enough to understand, like, you know, I deal with spirits and frequency and vibes, right? That is hardly ever wrong. I may not even have the words for it, right? But I can be talking to people, I'm just like, oh, you ain't feeling me. I just walk in a room, like Carol, you can walk in a room and never have met a person, and your spirit is going to upset the spirit inside of somebody else, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
Because those spirits don't like being in the same room together. And so I think of it that way, so it makes me not take it personal, because you're dealing with something, right? And my light, the light that I have inside of me that I'm trying to bring to this room, you're not ready for it.
Right.
That
makes my approach to you different, because I feel that. Absolutely. Completely different.
Like, you know, like, it's almost like relationships, right? I'm sorry to jump over the place here, Donovan, but it's almost like relationships. Like when you're, and a lot of times it's women, right? Women leave a relationship and they want closure, right? And oftentimes, you know, they don't even understand that the person who did whatever they did to them, oftentimes don't even know why they did it. Yet you are stalling your life because you want that person to give you permission to move forward. And that's not how it works, right? If God wanted you to have closure, he would have gave it to you. I'm gonna tell you why I know that, because the Bible says that God gives you everything you need, right? So if he didn't give you closure, you didn't need it, right? And so in business, I see it the same way. It's just like, it's not my job to figure out why people don't like me. Matter of fact, it ain't even any of my business. It ain't any of my business how people feel about me, right? My job is to go in here and do what I committed myself to do, that I promised I was going to get done, and do it to the best of my ability. And I let the chips fall where it may, Dom. Like, I go in with this confidence, right? And being prepared, right? Being very prepared, because you know you're walking into a den, even though you're supposed to be amongst friends. It's going to be people in that environment who are going to try to distract you, sidetrack you, take you down. It's going to be that same dude you give pounds to. It's going to be that same female who's smiling at you. You think she's flirting. I'm sorry, my dog's in the background. Yeah. Somebody's walking in.
Yeah,
but
you'll hear mine.
That's just a part of the deal, part of the journey.
Yeah. No, well said, and thanks for the context.
Very, very well said and agreed. I'm a person who moves by spirit as well. But let me tell you, what you ain't gonna do is put that on women talking about we need closure. Okay, so let me just go back to that for my girls. No.
I was waiting for that.
Carol, I know you were waiting, right?
But Marcus said,
wait, but I
saw her head tilt a little bit.
Why do we get that? Why do we get that? But no. But I do.
I'm here for it, Carol.
But no. But you know what? I do understand what you were saying, and there's truth to what you were saying, you know, as it pertains to human beings. So don't just give that to us. You know, we're all human. We all feel.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, let me switch gears, since we're digging into, you know, all this personal stuff, you know. Let me switch gears for a minute. I have a question about the pairings you were talking about, you know, pairing the adults with children. What types of, I would say, mentorships are there? What types of mentorships does Big Brother, Big Sister offer? Are there different types, I should ask first?
So we do our traditional services are our one-to-one services, right? And we're changing. So I'll say what we've done traditionally and how we are meeting the challenges that the pandemic and the fallout from the pandemic are producing in our community. But prior to the pandemic, we really focused on our one-to-one mentoring, where we pair a kid, whether in the community, whether this caring, compassionate adult, basically a stranger, who we do background checks, make sure that person is safe for your child, do trainings and all of that stuff, match them with your child, and then that person comes to the house, picks the kid up, does stuff in the community with that kid, right? Donovan's very, very aware of that. And then we have our site-based program, and we do our site-based program at different sites. And we got a Beyond School Walls program, which is kind of like our workplace mentoring program. We're currently partnering with about 28 corporations around the 7-county region, because we serve 4 counties in Pennsylvania and 3 counties in South Jersey, Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester. And so we work with corporations like Holman Automotive or Campbell Soup or Comcast, Wells Fargo, you name it. We pick up like 25, 30 kids twice a month from their school. We bring them to the corporation during lunch. They get a chance to have lunch, and then they spend time with their what they call bigs are called our mentors are called bigs.
Okay.
The kids in our program are called littles. So they spend time with their big, but they also get a chance to be exposed to what's happening in the corporation, right? Which is awesome for us, because oftentimes our kids don't, particularly depending on their age and their exposure, they may hear their parents say, "I'm going to work," but they have no clue what that means. They have no clue what work looks like. We had a kid.
Can I interrupt you for one moment? I'm sorry.
Yep.
That was my fault. I want to interrupt you for one moment because I'm so interested in hearing the remainder of your response. So we're going to take a short commercial break, family. So stay with us, okay? Because we will be right back.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, "Now it's your turn. Take that first step." When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
We're often influenced by what we see or hear on social media. Beware of disinformation campaigns targeting Black communities by using cultural issues to incite divisions, spread false information, and negatively influence public opinions. We're in this together, and together we can stay informed and empowered. Learn more at nbcit.org. This public service announcement is from the National Black Cultural Information Trust.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side. By your side. And every day is a different day. Everything is in everything. Even when you think things can never ever be. be the same. Don't be scared of the world, I'll be here to stay. By your side, even when your heart ain't listening, or your mind takes you a different way, towards a different path. All you gotta do is sit and ask. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
When the adults in a child's life talk early and often about the dangers of underage drinking, the message gets stronger every time.
I'll be by your side.
Talk. They hear you.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Hey there, family. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at wordradio.com. That's WURD radio.com. If you have just joined us, welcome. We've been talking with none other than Marcus Allen, who, amongst a myriad of things, is the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. And just before the break, I asked about the different mentorships or pairings, if you will, and he was in the midst of explaining and responding to my question. So I'm terribly sorry to have had to interrupt you, but I'm so interested because I may have an interest myself. I love the babies, and I'm always doing something that involves the babies, but I never really knew of the different types of mentorships that Big Brothers Big Sisters offers.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm excited to hear that you're interested, because I can see a little girl really getting a lot out of spending time with you, Carol. Particularly, one of the things I didn't say is we take a lot of time to really assess the talents and the gifts and the preferences of the child. And we also do that with the adult. And so that when we bring those two together, they have a lot in common, right? So we want to kind of try to break down that wall so that as soon as you get together, and oftentimes I hear from bigs and families, it's like, oh my God, how did you find this person? They're perfect for me, right?
Right.
And so that's a key component to it.
Okay.
Right. That we call that our enrollment and matching process. So that takes some time, and some of our biggest challenges are, we have 750 kids on a waiting list, and so we are always needing volunteers. And not that this is a bad thing, but it is a bad thing in terms of when you're serving customers. About 70% of our kids we serve are Black, and about 70% of our bigs mentors are white. The challenge that poses is many of the it's mostly mothers, but also some fathers who refer their children to our program are looking for a Black, particularly our boys, a Black male role model, right? And so it doesn't mean that a white big can't do a great job, and we'll introduce that child to a myriad of awesome things. But we're also here to serve the preferences and the needs of that caregiver who made the referral. So though that's just some of our challenge, but real quick. So I talked to you about our mentor Beyond School Walls program, which is our workplace mentoring program. We have a college bigs program where we work with Penn, Temple, St. Joe's, Drexel, and one other college, LaSalle. And we have those students on campus. They mentor kids in elementary and middle school. And then we have what we call a corporate bigs program in Center City, where if you're in the city and then there's schools like Russell Byers and other schools nearby, you go once a week, and we have staff that facilitates that interaction with that kid.
Mm-hmm.
We also have what we call a Mentor 2.0 program. We work with Parkway Center City High School. It's a whole school model where we're trying to put a mentor in every kid in that school's life, right?
Wow.
And then we follow them till they graduate and then into college, at least through their sophomore year. And the goal is to help them persist through college, right? Not just get to college, but finish. And then lastly, we have an LGBTQ program that is probably one of our most successful programs. We do that in a group model within the school setting, and it's all about building allyship in different schools in the region.
Wow. Oh my goodness, I am overwhelmed. That's a wealth of information. So you were saying that the process is lengthy. About how long does the process take?
Depends on what zip code you're in and what zip code our kids who need the help is, right? Okay. So what we try to do is match our bigs to kids who don't live far from them in our community-based program, right? So we don't want transportation to be a barrier. So on average, we try to keep the distance no further than a mile and a half.
Okay.
And so, but depends on your preference. So if you came to the program and said, hey, listen, I live in Germantown, but I got a lot of family in Southwest, and I like to, I can serve Germantown and Southwest because I'm always over there. We listen to you, and then we decide from there. But the broader the geography that you're willing to serve in, the faster you'll get matched.
Nice. Okay, so how do I start? What do I do? What's first?
Just go right to our website, independencebigs.org. You'll come up to at the top in the right hand corner. You'll see Be a Big. You click Be a Big, and it takes you through an online application.
Okay, so that was independencebigs.org or big.
Yes.
BIGS. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Got it on. I like it. It, Carol.
All right.
I'm a big too. I've been a big for 4.5 years now to little Nasir, North Philly. Got him when he was 14. Awesome. He has an awesome grandmother who's in his life. Unfortunately, his father died about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. He went through a lot of stuff over the past couple of years. But as bigs, we go through that with our littles. And I'm proud to say that now he has a scholarship. He's going to be attending LaSalle University in the fall.
Congrats. Donovan knows because I talk to him about the babies all the time. I love everybody's babies, but so I am a big, but I just haven't done it with or through the organization because I have kids.
Well, Donovan is a big too. So.
Nice.
That's right. Shout out to Isaiah, who I was matched with. I have to say, maybe 8 years ago or something close to that. Yep.
Wow, I love it. Okay, I'm excited. So being a big and being the CEO of this amazing organization, how does that fare with being a father and raising your children?
I think it complements it. You know, because all day my job is about family, right? Even though I'm the CEO and I'm doing administrative stuff and I'm doing all the other stuff, but I'm constantly reminded the importance of family, the importance of mentorship, the importance of relationship. And so I think the career path that I've chosen has made me a better person and a better father. It hasn't been perfect, but it has given me, I believe, an insight that I otherwise would not have.
How old are your girls?
So my oldest daughter is 26.
Okay.
I'll go. My son is 28. My oldest daughter is 26, and then I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old.
Nice. Okay, so you don't have little people. You've got good grown people. You got good grown. You got good grown people.
Yeah. They file their own taxes.
Yeah. That's a good way. Yeah. How about that? I'm sorry, Donovan. I've been monopolizing.
No, not at all. Me, Marcus and I, we have plenty of time to catch up. God willing, that's what we do. But I do want to ask, in this space where you are, you have a beautiful family. You're doing your thing in that space. You participate. You're there. You show up as a CEO. You've actually, in many ways, added additional dimensions, if I hear you correctly, when it comes to leadership. What about you in the social space? When you're not well, I don't know, you can never take off that CEO title as much as you navigate the city and all that stuff. Everyone knows you at this point. And you definitely can't take off the title as dad. But when it's just Marcus time, what are you doing? Where are you at?
You know, Donovan, I know you're asking that for the audience because you already know. Like I am a person who I love fitness. I love to like take care of myself both physically and spiritually and mentally and emotionally. And so when I'm not on the professional scene, I'm intentionally doing something that is developing me, right? And so I love to work out. I love to ride the bike, as Donovan said earlier. I love to read. I've gotten into this thing I do now, Carol. I think I told Donovan about this Miracle Morning book I read by Hal Elrod, and it was, and what spurred it was when I was doing the bike ride cross country, and I flew out with three friends. We flew out to San Francisco, and we were going to take this 50-day trek to ride our bikes back to the East Coast. Wow. And we were going through the canyons in Nevada, and it was so beautiful. I mean, it's tranquil, like some of the most beautiful land you'll ever see. And I remember being on the bike, and we're on the bike like 6, 7, 8 hours a day, right? Every day. Tough, going over hills, mountains. But there's this amazing calmness that came over me. And it was evident, like I realized it in the moment. And then I thought on it, and I realized that I had been dealing with anxiety pre-bike ride and not even know it, right? We all deal with something and don't even know it. And I was dealing with anxiety because I had been in that space before, that real peaceful. We always talk about wanting peace, right, in our lives, but that was real peace. I felt it. And I was like, I gotta get that. I gotta get that back, and I can't ride a bike the rest of my life across the country, right? and so my partner, who I was with, Gary Jonas, who Donovan knows, told me about the book, and so I read it. And in the book, this guy Hal Elrod, who was in a car accident, who died, and then they brought him back. True story. He talks about these 6 things that he did because he needed to change his life around. And the 6 things were savors: silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, right? So the silence was about prayer. So every morning for 45 minutes, I take time out, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I do silence where I'm in prayer, and then I meditate. I started out meditating a minute, and now I'm up to 10 minutes. And the reason I started out at a minute, because you want to try to do enough time where you can try to keep your mind blank for that period of time. So I've gotten a lot better, and now I'm up to 10 minutes. And then affirmation, I stand in the mirror and I say, Marcus, you're an awesome father. You're the best CEO you know. Like, you are purpose driven, and you are the best servant you can be, right? So that's the affirmation. And then the visualization is almost like I have in my phone these pictures, right? It's like a storyboard. And I visualize the things I want. So I have 3 pictures, and one of them is a picture of a beach chair in Miami. And I love Miami, being on the beach. It's something about the water and being,
oh my goodness.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
Right? And
that's it, yeah.
Right? And so that's the visualization. And then the exercise, I work out. I'm working out now. Crazy. I don't recommend this for anyone, but I'm doing 2 hours a day, intense, because I'm training, because I'm climbing Kilimanjaro, hiking Kilimanjaro in Africa in December, and it's a 53-mile hike, and it's the tallest mountain in Africa. It's like 19,300 some feet. So I'm exercising, and then I read. So I have all these books, and so I'm doing about 4 books. I'm doing about 4 books a month, because I take out at least 15, 20 minutes to read hardcover, and then I listen to books in the car. And then scribing, which I never did before. I never journaled. And so now I sit down and I write. And this is my journal here. This is my journal. And so I write like at least a page or two about what happened yesterday and how I feel about it, what I have planned for today, and then what are 5 things I'm grateful for every day, right? And so by the time I finish that, like I got my armor on and I am peaceful, like I'm back on that bike, right? For that moment, those 45 minutes in the morning, like it's like, okay, I feel it again. And it has, I have felt my body feel differently, right? I know some people skeptical what I'm saying because you've never done it or never tried it, but I'm telling you, it works because God wants us to be in touch with who we are, right?
Indeed.
Before we go out and touch others.
Indeed.
And so, and oftentimes in our community, and what was interesting, Gary Jonas, one of my best friends, a white guy, he said, so he got a chance to really get to know me. We're in hotel rooms for 50 days. And every night we are spending the night in these little nasty hotels all over the country, right? And I'm getting up one morning. He said, and you know, playing the radio. And he says, "Do you ever have any silent time?" I said, "What do you
Marcus,
mean?" Yeah.
Let's keep everybody on the edge right there. Do you ever have any silent time? We're going to be silent for a moment and let these commercials talk. We'll be right back after this.
I'll never forget the day I nearly died. I was a young journalist with a great career, starting a family. The only way we found out I had any kind of heart issue was when I went into sudden death. My coworkers sprung into action. They've recently been trained in life-saving CPR protocols developed by the American Heart Association. They're the ones that kept me alive until the medics came. They did many tests on me in the hospital after my cardiac arrest and created a treatment plan, all with research from the American Heart Association. I think unless you are a heart disease patient, you may not know how much work the American Heart Association does behind the scenes to save your life. Since my cardiac arrest, I've had 2 more children. I've watched all 3 of my children grow into adulthood. I'm going to cry now. I graduate from college. My daughter got married. I have grandchildren. And I'm still here.
Learn more about the American Heart Association's work at helpheart.org.
Imagine you on a deserted island all by yourself, or even being in a crowd of people yet still feeling alone. That's what being a victim of sexual assault can feel like. Victims of sexual assault are at an increased risk for developing depression, PTSD, substance abuse, eating disorders, and anxiety. Sexual assault can happen to anyone and is any unwanted sexual contact such as unwanted touching, fondling, groping, or even rape. No always means no, so speak up and speak out. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Everyone loves a champion. Someone whose performance puts them head and shoulders above the rest. But not all champions wear a medal or hoist a trophy. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, we're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. We believe abuse can be prevented by taking a hard look at how we coach, how we train, and how we interact after the last whistle. We have provided over 2 million safe sport trainings. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job. It's our promise.
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is him. Every day he's hungry for something. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then it kind of starts to work itself out.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah. Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised in culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Independent Black Media.
Welcome back, good people. You're listening to Love and Life on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media, on air and online at WURDradio.com. We're talking to my brother, the most interesting man in the world. I'm talking about, listen, Marcus is the Black Forrest Gump, and I mean it in a good way. He is always doing the most interesting things, always pushing, and I'm talking about from everything from like a dancing with the stars to traveling, like we just now said. He says it so casually. Oh yeah, we biked across the country from San Francisco to Atlantic City, like so casually. And then now, December, you're going to go ahead and climb Mount Kilimanjaro, 19,000 plus, what do you call it, feet in the air. And you just said it so casually, like you're going to the corner store. Good brother, like really. So anyway, before we had to interrupt you by way of taking a commercial break, you were talking about, during his journey, 50 days with your good friend and great guy, Gary Jonas, and this whole thing around silence and this whole recipe. Please take it from there.
Yeah, no, like that I was saying that one of the things that always bothered me is how it feels like our community just continues to digress, right? In so many different categories, whether it be the breakdown of the family, whether it be, the mass incarceration, whether it be our health indicators, right? And particularly how we engage one another, right? How we don't do business together. Like, they talked about, you put $1 in our community, it don't even go around one time before it leaves our community. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia is the second largest majority Black population in the country, yet we have the least amount of Black businesses per 1,000 capita. And so I've been on this unofficial journey to try to figure out, like, what is the secret sauce to us being able to push our people forward, like other people have been able to do. Like, you think about the Jewish folks, you think about, the Italians who came here, the Irish who came here, the Asians who come here, even the Africans who come here, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They tend to do better than those of us who are post-slavery, who have roots that started in slavery here in this country, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to get close to, if not figuring out, how do we move us forward? Mm-hmm. And before I can understand that, I had to start with me, right? Mm-hmm. And all the issues that I had to go through and grow through, being someone who didn't have his father involved in his life, who grew up in abject poverty, who most of his family still lives in abject poverty. And so when you were joking earlier about Forrest Gump, you're absolutely right. I am like trying to figure out, right, what this box of chocolates is about, what's in it, right? And some people would look at that and say, oh, Mark is always doing something crazy. He's always doing, and for me, it makes sense. It makes sense because I'm in constant exploration, and I'm trying to be the best that I can be. And I'm also very inquisitive. I'm a thinker, right? And so even though Donovan and most people would tell you, Carol, that I'm an extrovert, and when I say this, they say you're lying, you're not. And I am so much of an introvert as well. I must be both of them. I like my time by myself in my head. Like, I love me some me, right? and I don't mean that in an arrogant.
As you should. No, you should.
I just mean, like, I love spending time with Marcus Allen, and he and I get into these conversations, and like we argue, like and that's why sometimes I can feel like a walking contradiction, because I'm just like, I'll tell people, I say, but let me think about it. I may come back because I need to keep the thing going, right? And so I'm constantly doing that, and with our community, I'm constantly doing that, right? I don't want to make excuses for us, but I also don't want to push us down and put things on us that's not our fault, but also understand that we're like, I'm never going to be a victim, and I don't want us to feel like we're victims. And it's how to, but it's very complicated, right? It's very complicated. And so I go on these journeys, I do the inward introspection so that I can better hear other folks, those who look like you and I.
Hey, Marcus, let me give you your flowers while you're here, good brother, because you are an inspiration. And also, one thing to leave out, you're courageous. You may be inquisitive. It's one thing to be inquisitive, and then you get to a point about, that's interesting, that's curious. But to be courageous to then pursue it. So congratulations. Yeah. And we joke a lot about all the different things that you do, but at the end of the day, you have a question and then you pursue it, right? Often, I would say to my daughter, I don't know is the beginning of your journey. Right. Yeah. And so being courageous to them be in pursuit and to have all these amazing experiences, salute to you.
Thank you, sir.
I could not have said that better. I could not have said that better. You are truly an inspiration. I texted Donovan. I said, I'm so intrigued. My goodness, this man. What in the human being?
Most interesting man. Black or white, don't matter. He
transcends.
I wonder what it's like. Listen, I don't. If I see Marcus in a spacesuit next year, I will not be surprised. Okay.
Nor would I. Nor would I. As a matter of fact, it might become an expectation of mine to see Marcus in a spacesuit next year.
From your lips to God's ears.
And there you have it.
I would love it.
Family. Oh my goodness. I hate to say that just wraps up tonight's episode. Oh my goodness, of Love and Life right here on WURD. We want to thank you, family, for continuously supporting us. We love you. Love, love, love. All the love that you give and that you share and that you demonstrate. We love it. Special thanks to you once again, Marcus Allen, for sharing your time, your energy, imparting knowledge, sharing your attention with us. We so appreciate you. Just thank you. Thank you to Tiffany Bacon, Niall Jacks, the entire remainder of the WURD family. Family, you know what we do. You know what we do here. What we say to you is have a great night, have a great morning, have a great rest of your day. I always say, remember, we're all in this together. So be good to you, but also be good to those around you. Don't I say that? I say that all the time. Donovan?
All the time. No, it is what it is until you make it something else. And so thanks, everyone. Continue to be kind and also continue to check in on one another. You'll be surprised just how much you checking on one another actually changes the trajectory of someone's mindset, their spirit. So please make sure that you do that going forward. And, God willing, we will hear you, see you, and be with you at the next show. Thanks, everyone.
That's right. Make sure you join us midnight, Sunday through Thursday, for another edition of Love and Life on WURD. Progressive Black Talk Media.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hopkins, aka The Food Griot, the host of Savory and Sweet, a new show about food, history, and culture. Savory and Sweet is a flavorful exploration of food, marinated in the Black experience, seared with history and braised in culture. Each week, I'll fold in conversations that center food and drink at the intersection of business, health and well-being, entertainment, education, and innovation, while separating the facts from fiction on the sometimes surprising origins of what we eat and drink. So join me, the Food Griot, and special guests for Savory and Sweet, Food, History, and Culture every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. exclusively on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? Now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. When you don't know where to turn, let 211 be your guiding light.
How can I help you?
Our guides are ready to connect you with the help you need. For help with food, healthcare, mental health, and other resources. Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211. Get connected, get help.
Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's going to play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
I remember this one moment. I ran to kind of the water edge, and my mom said something along the lines of like, now it's your turn. Take that first step. When I became a mom myself, I feel like my whole world changed. There's some light within her that makes me continue to do the climate science work that I do. You don't have to be a climate scientist to want to protect the earth. As moms, we care about our children and the environment they grow up in. And for Mia, I want you to know that I worked really hard to be a part of the change and to make it a better place for you.
Elmo. Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's going to play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.